Welcome to Box.gg's November Townhall recap. My name is Zach Drapula, and here's a quick overview of what's to come in today's video. We've got an in-depth conversation with our special guest, Spencer Gordon Sands, all about how he started his gaming company, Orange Cap Games, and the brand new TCG Vibes, with exclusive access to first edition booster boxes for Boxed users. First though, our CEO Mylan highlights the latest Boxed updates, including the surprise launch of One Piece on the site and the incredible success of the Forge. From there, we'll move to a Q&A highlighting coming quality of life upgrades, a reimagined exchange, and what Mylan is personally most excited for. Thanks so much for being a part of our community, and enjoy the Town Hall.
Welcome everybody. So I'm Mylan, our CEO, and today I'm joined by a special guest, Spencer Gordon Sand. Spencer is, among many things, the CEO of Orange Cap Games, which is the creator of the new Pudgy Vibes TCG. So, welcome, Spencer. What's up?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Skiz. I'm excited. I've been like a day zero user of Box, so I'm just excited to be here and kind of get to chat with you and geek out on some trading card stuff.
Awesome. So, we'll be talking to Spencer a bunch about his upcoming trading card game. But before we do that, we're going to go through the sort of usual business. So, for recent product updates, it's been pretty busy as always. And the main things that we're excited to talk about is, we were extremely excited to work on the Forge for weeks and months leading up to its launch. And now after relaunching the entire website with the new redesign, with Counter-Strike, and the Forge coming out, it's been a massive hit with you guys, and we couldn't be happier. So I just wanted to share some stats so you guys can see sort of the awesomeness that you've created. There's been over 7,000 boxes created by you guys, the community, via the Forge, and over 1 million gems have been earned from Forge boxes being opened within 2 weeks. And this is probably outdated data already. I know we grabbed this a couple days ago, so just a massive testament to you guys. And we're so happy that it's working as intended and giving you guys the flexibility to really customize the experience. So on top of this, we also launched One Piece, which we kind of did in a very stealthy way. We've been fans of the One Piece TCG for a while, and we decided it was time to try to add it to the platform, but taking baby steps along the way. And so we launched that, and it has blown up. You guys have been loving it, and we've seen some of the most popular boxes in the last few weeks coming from One Piece. So we are soon going to be adding more features to One Piece, namely battles. And we're going to be sort of beefing up the One Piece section of the website in the same way that we have Pokemon and Magic and Counter-Strike with the full sort of suite of features.
Dude, those OP cards are really pretty too. Like they did a really good job with the premiumness and the foil. Like one of the interesting things about One Piece is that they printed on their own like proprietary white core. The white makes the colors a lot more color true. It's like a less difficult thing than printing on blue core, which like Pokemon and Magic print on.
Wow. Well, I didn't know any of that, but I do agree that the cards look really, really good. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like they feels premium. Which, when you look at other cards, especially like older ones, you're like, wow, there's such a stark difference. And, you wouldn't think it would take like 20, 30 years to upgrade the quality. But yeah, so One Piece has been awesome, both as a game and thankfully for you guys on the platform as well. And a few upcoming community events. We have new boxes today. And the big thing here is that we made a Surging Sparks box as soon as we could for the new set releasing. And so you guys can now access that with all the great pulls and hit items, chase items from Surging Sparks. And we're actually seeing it already break records. So one of the things we're trying to do is get a lot faster at putting especially the cards within our system so that we can make boxes with them, and then also let people make boxes in the Forge with brand new cards. And so thankfully we got Surging Sparks out super quick. Great job to the team on that. So that is available right now, along with a bunch of new boxes on the Pokemon side. And we also will be in the near future having a big Black Friday event. So we'll be doing a limited time event from November 25th through December 2nd to celebrate Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And we'll have new boxes and some other fun promotions that you'll hear about in the future for that. And then lastly, we have a lot of fun stuff planned for the holidays and for New Year's. So be on the lookout for that. We don't have a ton to talk about there, but new stuff is coming soon for that as well. Are there any quality of life updates for finding boxes in the Forge from specific users? So we are going to be working on things like that in the near future. No updates as of this town hall, but we want to really bolster a lot of the social elements in general. So being able to like click on users, see their Forge boxes, have like a profile, stuff like that is something that we want to do. Will we be able to delete boxes we made? Yeah, that's one of the things that we want to do in the future. Yeah, so we've built out our inventory system, which was one of the main points for being able to sort of bolster or rework and reimagine the exchange. And so that is something that we are making very solid progress on. I don't have any dates or timelines for that specifically, but we are absolutely going to be working into like the new exchange / swapping features that will be somewhat in tandem with the marketplace to be able to exchange cards. And then we also have a number of ways that we've been increasing the ability to get cards and make sure we have a good inventory, which will eventually bring down the price of cards, as well as some things with shipping. We have a lot of things in the work to really just streamline every aspect of our fulfillment, which then we can pass on to you guys. I'm honestly excited to continue adding categories because I know that I collect across a lot of different things. And so being able to support more categories, I imagine, will enable you guys to collect more things that you love. But we also have some really exciting stuff that is very top secret now, but we'll be getting into probably early next year. And that will be the thing that I think will blow you all away. Anywho, I'm going to wrap up the Q&A, but feel free to keep asking questions and we can get to them at the very end. But now to get into the meat, Spencer, how's it going?
It's going well. I think I figured out crispier audio while you were talking, and I'm excited to see the Pikachu versus Moonbryon kind of race going on in the Pokemon world, and it sounds like you guys are getting into those kind of boxes. But no, that's not what we're here to talk today about. Although we may go on some side tangents about other games. So I'm just excited to share kind of what we've been working on over at Orange Cap Games and the cool kind of exclusives that we're doing with you guys over at Boxed and that the community can participate in.
Yeah, likewise. And just for some context, guys, I have known Spencer for a number of years now. We connected, I think, on Clubhouse, if anyone remembers that app, over trading cards. Like we talked all about trading cards and businesses around it and ideas. And now, fast forward a few years, we have built Boxed Up, and thankfully, we've been able to grow this to support all of you guys. And in the meantime, Spencer has started a game company that is now making a trading card game. And so we're really excited to be partnering with Orange Cap on Vibes. To give you guys a little context, Vibes is releasing very soon. And you guys have a bunch of special promotions as well as exclusive access to their booster sets directly through us starting today, actually starting about an hour ago. So before we talk about the game, I'd love to kind of ask you a few questions about yourself, Spencer, and then we can get more into what you're actually making. So I guess starting out, what made you want to start a game company? What made you start Orange Cap?
Yeah, well, I think like when you look at the market and what's going on in the trading card world, there's a couple of like interesting things and also obvious gaps, right? So let's talk about trends. Trends are IPs are waking up to the fact that like a really interesting thing to do with your IP as a trading card game. One Piece is smashing all sorts of records, and you even see Magic, right? Like I'm a longtime Magic player, and Magic is moving from, Liliana the Veil, Nicole Bolas, their own native IP, to like now, okay, we're doing Doctor Who, we're doing Lord of the Rings, and we're doing all these sort of other activations. And you may see that as a longtime player, I entered that with like a curmudgeon, like this is not the Magic I know. But at the end of the day, it's a very successful like business, right? And it's also very successfully expanded who the player base is. I know a lot of people for whom like the Dungeons and Dragons set was the thing that got them into Magic, right? The Doctor Who set was the thing that got them into Magic, and Lord of the Rings was. But there's also a lot of like IP and new games that like fail at something that feel very important to me, right? You see Lorcana coming out. Lorcana, awesome, a collector's product, but if you look at a competitive scene or Lorcana, it's kind of a coin flip. Like the game isn't as good as you might have hoped it to be. And it doesn't have a virtual game too. Like I'm someone like my play pattern for Magic is like I sit at my computer and play a lot of Magic online, and then once in a while I get to go play a tournament in paper, but that's where like I get to hang out with a lot of my friends, right? Similar with One Piece. Like One Piece is like a pretty good game, but it also doesn't have a virtual game. It's kind of an interesting thing where like, you go online, and I think they've done a really good job with the look of their cards, right? But you go online, you play, and you kind of have to play in person, right? There isn't this online experience. Now, you flip the other thing, we have like something like Pokemon Pocket coming out, where like Pokemon, incredible collector's product, game, not as good as a game like Magic, right? And so what you saw though was like this opportunity, which is like, okay, clearly this like composable IP concept is really good. Clearly people are really hungry for good gameplay experiences, and clearly people are very hungry for like beautiful cards, right? And so what if you made a game that was easier to learn the Magic, that had sort of some of the fun competitive elements of it, that was cute and collectible like Pokemon, and was just like stunningly drawn and designed like One Piece, right? And that was like something that we thought, if we could pull this off, this is a thing in the market that like hasn't existed, that should exist, that like would be cool. And another thing too, like as a Magic player, is like Magic has been around for so long, this is sort of like power creep thing happening, right? And like all the cards that I like playing with aren't strong enough anymore, and the game is maybe not the thing that I loved it to be at one time. And so, how do you kind of go back to the beginning, right? Now, that being said, the other games that people transition to just don't quite do it for me. So this was a little bit of a self-indulgent endeavor at the beginning, was like, I want to design a game that I'm excited to play in the way that I was excited to play Magic back in the day, right? And that was kind of how we started on this quest.
Yeah, I definitely am with you on all of that. Especially, I feel like as someone who is a super avid collector, and we started with Pokemon Unboxed, and it's a mainstay in our platform. I was pretty disappointed in, I guess, the depth of Pokemon Pocket, and I think that absolutely like merging the gameplay elements and then the really stunning art and making it collectible by nature is like One Piece is maybe approaching that, but it feels like you either choose a game that is made for playing or you choose a game that's made for collecting, but there's not really both, right?
Yeah. One Piece is certainly the closest, but like that's the thing. Where, like I am someone who like sits sits at my desk at home all the time, and like there isn't a One Piece online game. And I think that Bandai is like famously not been as supportive of organized play as some of these other companies have, which is it's an incredible product, right? It's incredible. The cards are beautiful, but it's just it serves a different audience, right?
Yeah, for sure. So with this game, you are partnered with Pudgy Penguins, which is a massive online brand. They have, I think, billions of views across social media.
Like 35 billion impressions on Giphy.
Yeah, anyone who's ever dropped a GIF anywhere has seen a Pudgy Penguin. They have millions of followers on Instagram with their like little cute animated shorts. How did you guys work with this massive brand, and how'd you meet, and what made you want to work with them versus any other IP that you could have tried to approach?
Yeah, well, I think like Pudgy was a really interesting IP for a number of reasons, right? So Pudgy Penguins is cute and family friendly, and it hits a lot of the notes I think Pokemon does, which is like there's this category of people that's like, I want to be playing a game that's like wizards fighting dragons and like killing each other, right? And like there's a lot of products. You've got Flesh and Blood, you've got Magic, you've got Heart that like serve this kind of fantasy audience. But like, why has Pokemon done so well as a collectible product when its game isn't as strong as some of the other games? It's because it's just cute. It like makes you feel happy. It's a little bit different, right? And so we wanted an IP that really scratched that itch, right? Another thing too was like, I know a lot of couples where like the boyfriend plays Magic and the girlfriend collects Pokemon. And like, I just wanted a game that couple could play together, right? So if you gave like a Pokemon style cute IP, Magic level of good gameplay, then like this could be something very, very interesting. So this IP like scratched a lot of those itches, and what had this kind of big reach. Now, this IP also wasn't, like a TV native thing, right? This is a startup in and of its own right. And so the ability to go to them and work with them and work closely with them was really there. Now, on top of that, you have where is the distribution for Pudgy's other products? And so we talked with the company, and they have plushies, they have figurines. You can, they're partnered with Walmart, Amazon, Target, Walgreens. You can go buy them, and they have this really big reach. And I was like, well, you guys should definitely, your IP is so good, you should definitely do a trading card product. And they were like, yes, but we don't have any clue how to do this. And really, as someone who plays a lot and collects a lot, like to me, it's like, all right, I know exactly what this product should be like, but I realize, this is a challenging space to launch a product in. And so, it makes a lot of sense. Even Disney didn't do it on their own, right? Like Disney partnered with Ravensburger to do Lorcana. They partnered with another company to do Star Wars Unlimited, right? So it's not unreasonable for them to be like, we don't want to do this on their own, but we really want to do this, right? And so we worked very closely with them throughout the whole process, so the parent company, to launch Vibes. And now Vibes is its own game, right? Pudgy Penguins IP is the first IP that we're launching with, but future sets may feature other IPs. And one of our goals is to grow. And we're talking with a lot of other sort of tier one IPs for future sets, but the first one is Pudgy Penguins, and it made a lot of sense, right? And we also wanted something that was culturally relevant today, and I think Pudgy Penguins hits that. You have, Justin Bieber posting Instagram stories wearing Pudgy Penguin plushies on his belt. You've got Kai Cenat opening them on stream. Like, this is a culturally. You've got David Dobrik kind of going on Instagram with them. This is a culturally relevant today IP. And something that we thought was cute, we could really do a lot with, and already sort of had a voracious collector base, right? That was another thing too, is when we the very first pre-sale we ever did of this product, we sold 500 booster boxes in 10 minutes. The first 360 were sold in 30 seconds. And that was just because there's collectors that just love pudgy things that were starting off there, right? Now, for us to be successful, that can't be our only audience. Over time, like, we think that this is going to be a product and we've seen it do really well with people who collect Pokemon, who collect Magic, right? Who want to get their Pokemon friend into sort of Magic style gameplay, or their Pokemon friend wants to get their Magic friend into Pokemon style collecting. Like, it hits well with those audiences. But, we also want to make sure there was this robust and avid collector base day zero. And we've sort of already seen that, right? Like, we've done a few pre-launch events just for starter decks, and like graded commons from the starter decks on the secondary market were selling at, like, I think the lowest sale for one was $100 US, right? So there's this voracious collector's market. Now, I'm not advising you to go buy graded starter commons for $100, but like, why does that exist before the game's even out? And it exists because, like, there is this collectible, like, people that just want to get their hands on pudgy related collectibles, and that's a really good kind of audience to launch your game into and then go from. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, as someone who collects things, like, a big part of it is obviously, do I care about the thing, but also, do other people care about it, right? Like, it's not as exciting to collect something that no one cares about it as it is to collect Pokemon, because then I can share my Pokemon collection and my passion for that with everyone else. And so, of course, if there's already a lot of people interested in collecting this thing, then you'd think that it's a great place to launch more collectible products. So it makes total sense to me, especially from like from the HODL perspective, right?
Well, it's also like, the other thing too is, like, it's an IP that has products that are already in the premier global distribution channels, right?
Yeah.
Importantly, we didn't go that route for first edition, right? First edition for us is like the core collector's product before we roll it out in a more big mass market way. And I think that's necessarily the case. Like, you see, an interesting thing in the Pokemon market, right? What's the first Pokemon product is Japanese Pokemon. Now, why is Japanese Pokemon first base set Pokemon generally a little bit less collectible than English, even though it's 3 years earlier, is because it was just printed more, right? And so one thing we really wanted to do is be very communicative, public, and controlled on what the supply of first edition was, right? And for us, it's important that goes in the hands of, like, real collectors versus putting on the shelves of something like a Walmart, a Target, a Walgreens, etc. Like, we'll do that eventually. They're already carrying this IP's products, and they are selling very well. But, like, day zero, you want to go to, like, the true fans, the hardcore TCG collectors, people who, like, really care about this space, and for whom owning that first edition thing will be really meaningful, right? Like we'll get to a point where it should be an impulse buy. You walk in, your kid says, "What's this penguin?" I buy it, and they have a card. Like, that's something you get to. But, like, imagine they rip the grail of first edition and, like, doesn't understand what that is. Like, that's why we're kind of getting it in the hands of collectors first and foremost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so for everyone listening, what that means is what's available on box is not available in Walmart or Target yet. It's not available on Amazon, and the edition won't be available, if I'm hearing correctly, right?
Correct. So, like, first edition is 15,000 booster boxes total, right? We've been very communicative about that. That's the supply, and that number is not going up, or it could go down if people destroy their boxes or whatever. But, like, that's the print run for first edition, and it's mostly been distributed kind of via pre-sales. We have a few distributors. We partnered with eBay. We did a big activation at New York Comic Con. We were on eBay's live stream. They did a push notification. Everyone was sub-interest. TCG, who had the app, we had like 4,500 concurrent viewers. We did our first ever box break there. So it's not like it's not being distributed, right? but it's not something on the scale of like 5,000 Walmarts having on their shelves and people who don't really know about it see it. It's more like, okay, very curated, people who are collecting, who are spending in this market already. Like that's who we've gone to have be the custodians of first edition boxes. Like that's really how I think about it, is like you are getting what I hope to be a grail 5, 10, 15 years from now, right? And we want that in the hands of people who are going to really appreciate that they have the opportunity to collect.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And, I think especially with Box being, I mean, everyone in here collects a lot of stuff. Like, I think we appreciate the fact that it's not going to Walmart's and then, I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the videos of people, like wrestling over Pokemon trainer boxes and whatnot. And so the fact that that's not the initial approach and actually trying to get it into the hands of people who really care, I think is awesome. You mentioned a lot about how you think there's this sort of, I guess, dichotomy or divide in that like there's, and I would say I know a lot of people this way as well, where the boyfriend likes playing Magic and the girlfriend likes collecting Pokemon. I know actually for me it's the other way around. My girlfriend's a Magic player and I'm the Pokemon. But you mentioned how you wanted to bridge that gap. So can you tell us about the actual gameplay? Is it meant to be extremely competitive? Is it complicated? Is it easy to pick up? Like, what's the goal with how it plays?
Yeah, so the goal was to make it easier to pick up than Magic, but to not sacrifice the things that make it deep on the 1,000th play. And like everyone's going to say something like this, but I'm going to talk really specifically about what that meant. Magic, in my experience, about 45 minutes to an hour to learn. Our game is about 15 minutes to learn if you've never learned a trading card game before. If you know Magic or another game, it's probably more like 5 to 10 minutes, right? 15 to 20 is really what you might expect if you've never played a game before. Now, let's look at like kind of what happened. So why is Magic continue to be the game that we always talk about as like the best game made? And I'm going to make an argument for why I believe this is, which is that in Magic, there's a concept called instance. An instance is something that you can play at any time and your opponent can play at any time. Your turn, their turn doesn't matter anytime, right? And this leads to a lot of very interesting, interactive decisions. However, this translates really poorly into a virtual game because every single time you could play something, you have to decide not to play something. Because otherwise, it would be telegraphing that you didn't have anything. And so when you play Magic the Gathering online, you have to chess clock back and forth about 12 to 15 times per turn, right? And this is not a great experience in a virtual game. And we know, but one thing that we know is that like Magic's largest growth actually as a game happened during the release of Duels of the Planeswalkers, which was a Xbox game that let you learn to play Magic on the Xbox. Why was that? Because it's much easier to learn this genre of game in a digital experience where there's rules enforcement, etc., than in a physical experience, right? And so virtual games, I believe, are a really important part of the growth of TCGs. And so that's why we see like something like Hearthstone, where Hearthstone, you can play stuff on your turn and your opponent can play stuff on their turn, and there isn't the ability, any chess clocking back and forth, right? They're very, very siloed. However, if you play a lot of Hearthstone, which I have, right, and many, I'm sure of you listening have as well, it just becomes a lot of RNG, right? Like there's fewer interactive, interesting decisions. And so most games since Magic have made this decision of like, there's trap cards or something, but there isn't the same amount of interaction that goes on, right? And the same type of interesting same time decisions that's happening. And so what we did with our game is we kept this concept, but made it more siloed when it could happen, right? And in Magic, we call it the stack. But basically the way that our game works, it goes my turn, your turn, and then interaction turn that we take at the same time. And so what that allows us to do is have this back and forth, this sort of chess game, this poker game happening, but it's in this defined space, which makes it not miserable to play online. One of the other things that we did is we got rid of keywording. A lot of games, so you talk about Magic, it's vigilance, lifelink, haste, trample, first strike, shadow, easing. All of these things are single words that might be written on a card that have some sort of deeper, complex game meaning. And that's really, really confusing to learn, right? We have this premise of the card should just do the thing it says on it, right? Which is, sounds like a wild concept, but that was a big game design philosophy for us, was like, let's try and make it as direct to understand as possible, right? How can we get someone, when we teach them, to be able to continue to play the game after we've stopped explaining it to them on the first go around, right? And we worked a lot. We had like over 100 people test it during testing. We learned a lot about how to talk about it. And we came to something that we think is really, really interesting, really good. But it also solves a lot of the balance issues that we see in modern games, which is caused by trying to move away from the stack concept that Magic has, right? This is what I was saying earlier, is like Lorcana is a really good game, but whoever goes first basically always wins Lorcana in competitive Lorcana. And this has been a real challenge for the growth of competitive Lorcana. In our game, going first is not really an advantage, right? That was another thing that we wanted to be really worried about. I played a lot of games where just like whoever wins the die roll and goes first just wins, right? And so that is like what we really, really want to try and avoid is like let's play a game, let's make a game where like it's going to be the more skillful player, but there is some randomness, right? Like the issue with Flesh and Blood is kind of the opposite. Flesh and Blood is very complicated and it's basically very deterministic of like whoever the better player is wins like 80 to 90% of the games. And that takes a little bit of the fun out of it. Like part of the fun of Magic is that anyone can be anyone, right? It's part luck, it's part skill, it's part victory, etc. Maybe we can jump to this in the chat about like the offering that we're having with you guys and like what is that and kind of what's explained below. Should I maybe jump into like what the cards are and some of the breakdowns there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my next question was going to be, what kind of chase cards are there? What is the opportunity with boxed? I know you mentioned eBay and, not to toot our own horn, but I think we have something pretty cool that's similar to the deal with eBay, but even a little bit better for our community. So, of course, in my opinion,
we're doing something especially cool. So Box was actually the first partner that we ever like agreed to do. And so we got to do something very cool. So there's two really cool things. So right now the ability on Box is to pre-order booster boxes. These ship in like a couple of days. So this is going to be super fast, which is really exciting. And if you pre-order through Box, we have 3 unique boxed promos that feature the boxed mascot. You can see those. These are actually, you'll get one of those 3 promos packaged inside the box itself. So all the other promo offers we've had for other ways to pre-order boxes is like, we're going to give you a promo and a box, but boxes pre-ordered through Boxed are the only subset of first edition that is different from the rest of first edition, which is really cool because it's literally got a different product inside, meaning that like the promo card is inside the shrink wrap inside the box, which is a really, really cool thing. Now, one of the things that Skiz and team have done, which is we're excited about, if you go on their website and check it out, there's a little wheel and that tells you about some of the different like rarities and hits and what you can get, right? And for clarity, like a booster box is going to be 24 booster packs. Each booster pack is 12 game cards and 1 QR code that gets you a pack in the virtual game. Really cool chases. So as I said, I'm a big collector. I want to make a product that was really exciting for collectors. Now there's a couple of decisions we made. One of which is like, okay, so in Magic, every card has both a foil and a non-foil version. In Pokemon, the rares are sometimes always foil, and there are some cards that don't have a foil version. In our game, every card has actually 3 versions. There's the base version, which is non-foil. There's the foil version, which is about 1/10 as common as the non-foil version. And so the rarities track. So there's 4 different rarities. You've got common, uncommon, rare, and what we call epic rare. And then epic rare being the rarest. Foils are all 1/10 as common as the non-foil version. So epic rare foils are very rare. And then we've got the super rare version. So this is the really exciting part. So the super rare version is the sketch cards. And so all of our art starts as a sketch. We actually had one artist that did 199 of the 200 cards in the first set, done by one artist. Started all of them as a sketch. And the sketch card is the original sketch, not the finished art with, the colors and shading and everything there. And it has all the sort of handwritten notes on the card. And this is really inspired by like, so I'm a big Magic collector, I said, right? And one of the things I collect is original art, original sketches, original art. And I think as a collector, I really love process elements. I mean, you've seen sort of like some of the early Pokemon cards recently come up. I know CGC has been grading them. And this is something that we really looked at, but like we want to involve the highest end collector. I want to involve in the creation process of the game, right? See the elements from before they're finished and polished. Now, every card has a sketch version, but every card in sketch version, there's only 10 copies of each card. So there's only 2,000 total sketch cards in the entirety of first edition. And we're not reprinting sketch cards, so sketch cards are just in first edition. And so this is like the Grail collector's piece. This is your case hit. There's about 1.2 sketch cards per case, so that's like 10 boxes. So this is really the chase, right? And if you think about it, how many of these are really going to exist out there in the world? Well, a lot of collectors we expect will buy boxes and may keep them sealed. I'm going to say that might be as many as half of all boxes will remain sealed. Could be wrong on that, right? Now, there's also a subset of people who might open it and just, this is, I've opened this grail, I want to keep it forever. That would be me if I open one. It's not hitting the market. And so how many of these are truly going to be circulating on the secondary market? Probably not that many, maybe on the order of magnitude of a couple hundred, like 500 or so, right? This is our guess. I'm not committing to that or whatever, but like this is what we see. And so really one of the best ways to get these is to just open a sketch card, right? Now, as I said, there's flat rarity. So every card, regardless of if it's common, uncommon, a rare or epic rare, has 10 sketch cards. So within that, we're not sure. Like it's not clear. I'm very interested to see how to play that. Like it's not clear to me which will have a better secondary market value. Will it be the epic rare sketch cards, or will it just be sketch cards of the most playable card, whether it's common or uncommon? Because that's what people like, or will it just be one where people like the art? I don't know, right? But this is going to be something that's going to be very, very exclusive, difficult to find. I wanted something where you're like, wow, you have one of those, right? Now, that being said, I didn't want to be quite as limited as like the one ring for Magic. Like to me, that wasn't fun, right? It was like I was so excited to hunt for the one ring, and before I even got my booster box in hand, like it had just been opened, right? And that was something that could have been so cool, but then was like, eh. And so like I the sadness I felt when I received my box, knowing that someone had already pulled the 1-of-1 ring, was like really significant. So I wanted an experience where like, no matter how many boxes of this are open, there will still be sketch cards left. Like we should never get to a point where there's all 2,000 sketch cards out in the world, right? And we may not know how many of each one have been opened, right? Or we may know like once 10 have been opened, there aren't any more. So this is part of the excitement of this, is like seeing that happen, seeing the secondary market get established, etc. One little piece of alpha that's also a little bit exciting. So when we did our launch with eBay, there was an eBay promo. 2 of those hit eBay. I think each of them sold for $50 a piece. And so there is secondary market demand significantly for the promos themselves from kind of the audience. And so one thing that's really exciting about this box offering is sort of the exclusive boxed promos. And I think that, one of the things that we love about Box too is your guys' logo is so cute. We've used the character like in the card itself, which is really exciting. Skiz just dropped an image of that in the chat, but you can see that we really wanted to gear it towards like the experience that you guys have here. And that's, part of the ethos of Orange Cap Games and Vibes is like, how do we just do cool, exciting, fun things, not trying to be pretentious or anything, but like, let's meet people where they're at. If you're on Box, then you should get the Box FOMO, but that's one of the things that we're like really, really excited about all these kind of things.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be buying many boxes. Like when we got this art back from you guys, like the first drafts, we were super blown away. I mean, we did our own card once for our sort of birthday event, and seeing like how you guys brought our character to life, Boxy there, it really just blew us away. So yeah, I mean, just from like a seeing it come to life perspective, it's like super heartwarming to me, but then also knowing that this is going to be in the hands of people actually collecting and playing is like, I mean, to me it's like a dream come true, because we're probably pretty far away from making a box trading card game. I don't think that's necessarily on the roadmap, but we get to be a part of one in a way that I never thought would be possible. And so I definitely think that ethos is like a big part of why we're especially excited to work with you guys as well, which is that we can actually get to be involved in the game itself. And you've done that with a lot of people, it seems like. I mean, you said with eBay as well, and I think I don't know what else has been announced, but like I think this sort of community and like a collector first approach that allows people just to be like immersed at a deeper level is like one of the things that really stuck out about Vibes when we were talking about the partnership.
Yeah, definitely. And I think some other like partners that we've had that I think are important here is like these cards. So CGC is another one of our partners. These cards are also gradable with PSA. So for those graded card heads out there, there's certainly like these are if you stop by CGC's booth at New York Comic Con and graded anything, you got a Vibes promo card. So like these partners are really active with us, and I think that's another important thing, right? Like coming into this myself as a collector, I want to make a product that like is fun to play with, fun to open, but also like as a collector, like I need to know like that I can grade these things, that I can auction them on eBay, I can do all the sorts of things that I might be used to doing with all my other games that maybe have been established for more years, right? But that's been a big lift for us behind the scenes, and thankfully our team is quite well plugged in this world. Is like, how do we get all of this kind of rocking in the way that it needs to be?
Yeah, that's super awesome. And I didn't even know about the CGC cards, but now I'm gonna have to go look online and try to get a few before they go up in price. Awesome. Well, I know we've taken a bunch of your time, but we're super excited for anyone who's tuning in later or who kind of has been in and out. We have first edition Vibes boxes available right now on the website. You can buy them with gems, and they have exclusive boxed promo cards that are not available anywhere else and will not be available again once these sell out. So please check that out. And Spencer, where can we find Orange Cap, Vibes online? Where should we go follow you guys, and anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, OCAP Games on Twitter is a big place where we are. You can also check us out. We've got an Instagram page as well. Those are sort of our main two venues. If you want to learn more about the game as well, you can go to vibes.game. That's our website, and just check it out. And I really appreciate everyone taking the time and listening. And our DMs on the Twitter account are open as well. So if you have any questions about the game, about the offering with Boxed, feel free to reach out to us. We're just so excited to be part of this and join sort of the Boxed family. And I know too, Mylan, your Skiz, you've mentioned that like tomorrow, that this hasn't been sort of shared publicly with the rest of the sort of Boxed world, right? This is just, we're kind of announcing it in this town hall. Is that correct?
Yeah, it went live like maybe 30 minutes before the town hall, and we will be, sending out all this sort of marketing, I think tomorrow. So right now would be the time to grab one, because, as soon as our hundreds of thousands of people that are signed up for Box get the word, I don't know how long they will last. Again, reminder, there's like 15,000 total, not for Boxed, just total supply of all Vibes first edition booster boxes. We have a small portion of that. So definitely check it out now before everyone else starts hearing about it.
It's not a print to demand kind of situation. There are a set number of boxes that exist on Boxed, and that's what it is. So if you want the box promo, which I think they're pretty sweet, that's the way to get it. And now is probably the time, because I think that marketing push probably starts tomorrow, right? And so this is so you guys get the first kind of inside look. Check out the Pudgy Vibes hub on BoxGG website, and we're excited to have some of you guys join us as collectors.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for taking the time, guys. Everyone go check out the Vibes page on Box, where you can learn more about it. Check out the Vibes socials and whatnot, and make sure to try to get in while you can. I think that wraps up. So if anybody has any additional questions, comments, etc., we'll be around in Discord on the Box side. Spencer's available, I think he said, on socials and whatnot, and you can always reach out to support if you want to learn more. So thanks again, and take care.